45. Here in 2396, 3 years before Star Trek Picard, and this is so we're seeing a series that takes place 3 years from now. Ooh, predictions. Yes, Absolute Candor is our latest episode. They reference 2396 in here, so it's clearly a Kal Kat episode. Absolute Candor. The previews showed Romulan bird of prey. There's a fight at the end between an old bird of prey and the hero ship, the Serena, the La Serena. There's this guy that Picard. So it opens with this. There's going to be spoilers. It's a review commentary, right? So the Elnor, who's basically an elf. He's basically Legolas. Is introduced as a child earlier on. Legolas with black hair, but it's Legolas. The Vulcans and the elves are kind of related anyway, so you could go back and say, well, that's what Roddenberry was thinking when he thought of Vulcans and Romulans. They're elves. That's what they are. They're Martian elves. Actually, originally he was supposed to be a Martian, and an elf from Vulcan, from the mysterious pseudo-planet near Mercury, which doesn't, from the mythology. The Vulcans. Picard met with these characters when they were, the kid was left off in a Romulan monastery, and of all women in the monastery at least, or men on the planet, the people on this settlement planet, what is it called, the Ses1 planet, kind of sounds like Dajvash, because they just keep they like that word Vosh. I think it's spelled a little differently, the planet. He's a boy. He gives the boy Alexander Dumas his 3 Musketeers, and trains him in some fencing, and then he goes on to become a warrior. So they're after the Tel Shiar on the planet, but they're not. Sort of, they are. That's the point of that one. Now, in the parody of the Picard series, so far, the parody is up to page 18 in terms of text. It's like a Mad Magazine thing. So the last 3 episodes were that shallow in terms of dialogue and information, and when you write a parody, you don't include the whole thing. Like, it would be like 200 pages at this point if it was written down. No, it's just 18, because all you want to do is get to the certain points of the story when you write a parody. You want to get to the jokes, and then go on from there. A scene is turned around to make it different. Anyway, so apparently each one of these episodes is equivalent to 6 pages in the parody, roughly. So this is episode 4, so this would be another 6 pages in the parody. Typical Kal Kat series thing is 18 pages, that would be 3 of those. There's a lot packed into those 6 pages. But basically, that's kind of what happens. If it was a television script, it would be 39 to 42 minutes of TV time. It would be roughly 39 to 42, about 40 pages. But in the parody form, it would be 20 pages for one episode. But I've condensed it. I've taken out all the other stuff as the parody. This one would be 6 pages too. Perfect. So we have this Absolute Candor. And it's nothing to do with the parody. Jonathan Frakes directed it, so the characters actually gel better because he understands how to direct characters. The other lady, although did a fair job, there was some iffy dialogue, character development stuff that probably was more the script than the director. They were trying to condense what amounts to 3 40-minute episodes into... it wouldn't have been 3 40-minute episodes. It would have been like 2. Really, I would have tightened up the script and said, okay, we don't need all these flashbacks to other points because that's not going to matter because he's going on the ship. I would have actually done it like that. I would have said, okay, let's just make the first 2 a 90-minute movie and get him off the planet at the end of the movie. Let's move this along. Because we don't need all that extra extraneous stuff like, oh, him winsomely in the middle of the vineyard and whatever. Just get him in space. Up in space. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't do it like Discovery did it, though, because they made it too much action-adventure. This one makes it too little. There is action-adventure in it. This is more like a TNG episode. The first of the Picard 4 episodes so far to be a TNG episode. It definitely is. The idea that they have to go to a specific planet, do a specific thing, do something, and then go off from there. We want the so we have he returns to the planet 14 years later. It's revealed that he has to break through the defense grid to get there from there's a holodeck scene that doesn't need to be there, where he's got his holodeck office, but that's okay. At least it's not fake Klingons with weird faces, foreheads going on for like an hour about their Light of Kalas thing that isn't something, but they made it up for the show. At least they don't have that. Fuller, quit Discovery early on, pilot. Yeah. It's too bad that these shows don't actually air on regular television, though. It's weird. It's like, why not have them on All Access, and then the next week put them on CBS? It's like, why not just put them on? They'd make more money. More people would see them. Put them on CBS. Yeah. Let's do that. Like, put them on the television after the show airs. Like on demand. Say, okay, here's the show, and now you have to go on demand and watch it for free after a while. You've already paid for it, so watch it again, you know. They don't do that. So same thing here. They go on another planet. Goofy stuff happening. So they go down to the planet, and they find out that the boy that was given the book is now grown up, and he's now Legulus, basically, with black hair. But he's Legulus. He's Legulus with a little bit of Japanese samurai thrown in there. Kind of everything. He's a samurai, kind of thing, which is cool. I mean, maybe, I don't know. but the other saying they make in the Romulan thing is, they're bind my sword to you, which I think is Shakespeare, and it's Dumas. It's actually no, it's Three Musketeers. But in the Romulan version, it's bind my sword to you. In that case, is a losing mission, so they're going to go on a losing mission. So that's not a good thing. It's the underdog. I like that they're underdogs going out to space. That's kind of cool. And clearly, Jurati is a robot, but they just haven't revealed it. Some of the fans are thinking, oh, she could be a robot or something. I think she's one of Daystrom's robots. I think she's probably like more of a holographic sort of thing, which would explain how she got away from Admiral O with the sunglasses in the earlier episode. Like, she just, she de-rezzed or something. Anyway, but maybe not. Maybe she's legitimate. And the Cillian one, she's Jennifer Piedmont Foster. But, that's somebody from Silly Track. It's a made-up person. So here we have, most of the Cillians are made up. Or based on someone loosely, but made up. But in this version, we have the monks, the monk ladies. I guess they're monks, kind of. And we have mention of the Senate visit to Romulus 20 years earlier. An angry man, large, enormous black Romulan, complains to the Picard and challenges him to a duel. He refuses, which is bizarre. And then Elrond, he Elron Hoover, yes. Evil. He saves him by decapitation from the Brandon Tenoulta. Brandon Tenoulta reviewer often does that joke when somebody's head rips off. So of course, decapitation. You know. Then he goes to join him, and when they go to join him, the Picard, they have 7-minute window to escape The 7 minutes is about 12 or 13, but it's not too far off. They get into the ship, and this other pilot, the warbird, the old warbird, shows up. They establish, though, that the old warbird from Kirk's era is old, and that it's a museum ship. And another thing they mentioned earlier, before the guy got his head cut off, he said he was on the crew of the Nightingale, which was one of the ships that Picard did manage to get to Romulus to rescue some of the Romulans before the fleet did. Before the fleet was built. So there were some Romulans rescued to this planet before the synth attack. So they established that the synth attack happened while Picard was visiting the planet. But then, which is inconsistent with, like, since they've attacked Mars and then they go back to Earth. So some of the consistencies are the plot hole in the parody. Yeah, so if the synth attack happened after they got back to Starfleet, and then, no, it happens earlier when they learn about it when they're on this distant planet in the Beta Quadrant. This is Ses1 or whatever. They learn about that. How did that work? That's a little bit of a plot hole. I was like, if it happened in April of 2385, they're not overthinking this, apparently. So were they at Starfleet, or were they on this planet when it happened? It's kind of unclear as to how these events, maybe Picard's remembering them differently, maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, they wouldn't have been on this other planet. Picard would have been elsewhere. I guess it ties into the Countdown 2 novels. It shouldn't. The graphic novel where he's trapped on the planet in that one. So you don't need to read the comic book because they kind of go there in this story. So yeah, in the comic book he's trapped on that planet. So the Countdown 2, the current one. Not Countdown 2009, Countdown 2019-2020. Yeah, that one. So yeah, the guy does this thing. He's out there. He's he flustered over the Nightingale. It dropped all these people off on the planet. I think they said something like 50,000 or something. Quarter of a million would be 250,000. Maybe something less than that. So there are plenty of them rescued there. They did establish something that fans were complaining about Trek Words and some of the other places, and on Trek Core. Back when the Romulans, they have fleets and ships. Why didn't they just get in them and fly away? Their fleet, the Romulan fleet, is the big deal. I guess some of them did. So this story establishes, yes, some of them had a ship called the Nightingale. They got in it. Picard was somehow there. They got out of there somehow, and then did things to this other planet, a relocation planet. So they knew everything was going to happen before it happened. 2 years before the supernova went poof. And then the droid attack or whatever. So the senator guy does all this exposition and then challenges Picard for no apparent reason other than he thinks he's a dick, and then he gets his head cut off because he was just asking for it. He's like I'm this bad guy and I'm being a so what? What is this pointless? Well, Jonathan Frakes directed it well, so it works. So they get to the grid. They escape. He and Elvron decide to go on the hopeless quest. Because, what is that if not Lord of the Rings, as well as, there's Lord of the Rings reference. That's also a hopeless quest. But yes, they go on a quest, and back up to the ship. The bird of prey attacks them. The old bird of prey attacks their Lasalia ship that looks like a cross between a Discovery shuttle and a Jedi Raider thing. That's what it looks like. A Star Wars-y looking ship, more than a Star Trek looking ship. And then Jedi Starfighter. It's not really a starfighter though. It's more of a it's more of the Raider thing from the books. And what was it? Attack of the Clones. It looks a little like that thing. And then it looks like a little bit like the thing from Rogue One as well. And the guy and some of his characters behave like those from Renegades. And the subplot here is we have the Jonathan Frakes. I can tell what he was thinking. Jonathan was thinking here. He goes like this part with the girl who's like an android, but she's a human, and she's on the thing, and this other guy is clearly the bad guy. You did this last year 2 years ago with Discovery. The guy is like the whole Tyler Vaught thing that everybody figured out. So why don't we just have her suspicious of it, like right away? Because she would be if she's not mental. So she's all like, "Oh yeah, you're obviously tricking me." It's like, we're gonna go on this adventure thing, and I'm not gonna care later on. I'm gonna slide around with my shoes off, a Borg ritual that he made up. But it's like, yeah, and then the sister does that weird twin cest sort of thing. I'm thinking she's a stepsister, not a whole sister, is a stepsister. Anyway, and he threatens the spy guy, chokes him and stuff. So that's sister. Also, the destroyer isn't what's her name? The Vulcan lady, the seer, sees the destroyer. So they kind of made that look like it was her, but it's technically not. It's the psychic lady saw the vision of the other lady. There's the destroyer. So yeah, they're trying to play around with words and where they go. And Jonathan Frakes was like, why don't you just do it? Just explain it. Like, yeah, it's like, just put it together, and then the audience will figure it out. Okay, yeah. So then we have the space fight. Getting to the space fight, and we have fill 6 minutes of the parody version. But then we have to starship locations. Well, yeah, a third ship comes to rescue them. This shuttle ship that looks like TNG era shuttle ship. It races around and fires on them and devastates the bird of prey. But it's breaking apart and stuff, and you can see it coming a mile away because it was kind of in the preview. Unlike the last 2 episodes that promised 7 of 9, it's 7 of 9. She was flying the shuttlecraft. She's going. She beams in and 7 of 9, even though I shouldn't really know you. No. Well, you probably just heard of her. Is probably what it is. But after all, she's a Borg, former Borg, so you could sense her or something. But she shows up and yeah, basically falls over. Because she was fighting the bad guys. She was injured, I guess, in the fight. But yeah, there's the episode, pretty much. Yeah, it was a TNG episode. Jonathan Frakes will be directing the next one as well. And that's the one where they go to the casino planet. Cantopite. From Star Wars. Oh, yeah, Cantopite. I think it's supposed to be the mob planet, but they got it wrong because that planet was called Sigma Iosha. They are the Iosians. In the episode, it's called something else. They were the Iosians. They got it wrong. Unless they have a colony, Sigma Iosha, which doesn't really make any sense because you can't have a Sigma and an Iosha any more than you can have a Delta and a Vega. Any more than you can have like a Beta 2 or Beta Alpha. That was one of the planets. You can't have that because those are the designations of the Bayer designation for something else. Like you would have like Alpha Carina, Beta Carina, Zeta, Sigma, Delta, Pi, all the different planets in Carina, right? Or you'd have Alpha Centauri, Beta Centauri, which is different. But with Alpha Centauri, you have 3 stars in the Alpha Centauri group. You have Proxima Centauri, Alpha, and it's still Alpha Centauri. You have Proxima Centauri, the little red star, and then you have Beta, you have Alpha Centauri A and B, who are the other 2 stars next to it. But they're not Beta Centauri. They are actually Alpha Centauri A, B, and C. It's a trinary system. And with Delta, they were doing that too. With Delta, Deneb as well. Deneb. They like Deneb. That's a cool name. Deneb. Part of the horse. Deneb. Arabian names mixed in with American names and Greek nomenclature. So Sigma Iosha shouldn't make sense, but I think I've been over that years ago with Star Trek names, and that don't make sense. Sigma Iosha, though they're called the Iosians, they wouldn't call themselves that any more than the Orions or the Vulcans or the Romulans would call themselves that. They wouldn't. Or the Beta Zeds of Beta. Beta 3. Beta Z, Beta Z, Beta 3Z, which is in the Alpha Quadrant. Yeah, so there's a lot of Star Trek names. Rigilians, for instance, or Rigel. Rigel is also part of a horse. Rigel is... there's a lot of Rigels. And interestingly enough, Rigel Centaurus is another name for Alpha Centauri. Part of the centaur, the horse. Alpha Centauri, Rigel Centaurus. So Rigel just means first part of something. Rigel. So there's a big red star called, a blue star called Rigel. I think it's blue, yeah. But it's a different star. It's not the same. So they just threw out Bayer designations, Flamsteed designations, Greek, and all those others out there, and just said, nobody's going to pay attention to all that astronomy stuff. Last night Venus was full in the sky up there. But yes, so yeah, the next episode is the Kal Kat one. So, and we've already done a spoof of it in 2396 time period in the Silly Trek Discovery era. We already went to that. So let's see how close the parody is to the actual story they're going to show, and it'll cross over next week. It'll be weird. It'll be like, are they still there from that other story? Sure, why not? Starship Locations is a series of novels, and the names are changed, so they're not exactly like Star Trek, and then we can get away with it because we changed the names. But you can tell it was supposed to be Star Trek. They go to the mobster planet. It's really obvious. Of course they do. Yes, and in my commentary on this one, on this episode, they went to the planet Oakland. Oakland being a local town. Oakland. It was actually worse than Oakland, but Oakland or San Francisco. No, it was Oakland. It was almost Alviso. I don't know where they filmed it, but it looked like it was probably Capistrano, somewhere like that, down south. It's probably where they were, because they have to just outside of LA somewhere and just kind of use some of the sets from some other show, probably. Let's borrow some sets from these other movies that have been allegedly taking place in Latin America and use that and put a bunch of Romulan guys and make it. It'll be cheap that way. Just film there. It didn't look like Oakland, but it was acting like Oakland. And why is it that the only main black character that had any dialogue, who was one of the bad guys, Senator Dude, why is it he got decapitated? Anyway, so that's messed up. That's just messed up. And so Raffi is half something, yeah. So the pothead lady. They kept saying she was. Some of the comments about her were like, they kept saying she's vaping or something. I don't think it was a vaping pen. It was a pot pen because she said it was snake weed or something. Snake leaf. That's pot. She's got peyote or pot or something. It's probably peyote. So she was basically like a stoner. But then it's not addressed in this story at all. So they just stuck that in there as, oh, this is a quirk the character does. And then that's not addressed. Kind of like they did with the Maquis and Chakotay. They should run across Chakotay eventually, I would think, because he'd be around. He'd already be rebellious. He'd be like, hey, you know. Know what they should do is in the casino planet when they go there, they should have like it should be Risa, really, I would think. But anyway, they go to this planet, it should be like a little bit like Guardians of the Galaxy too, a little bit. That weird planet they went to with the two suns, and then there's the other planet where it was like a gaming planet in the sequel, or something like that. It was some sort of a popular tourist planet. I wouldn't think Sigma Iosha would be a popular tourist spot though, because they're kind of warped there. You think he would end up like getting killed by accident by like messing with their customs and they get mad? Oh, put him on ice. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is a long review. Star Trek Picard. Absolute Candor, which refers to Candor. Oakland planet. Yeah, absolute candor refers to complete honesty, what it caused. Complete honesty. Which Vulcans would think was too emotional, and Romulans would think wasn't spycraft sneaky enough to be completely absolute candor. Yeah, they'd be like spies and stuff. Well, they were fighting the Zatvash or the Tal Shiar. I thought Picard's two aides there that were in the first 3 episodes were a Tal Shiar or ex-Tal Shiar or something. They didn't have to reinvent the Spygate people. They could have just said it was some of them. It probably would have been easier. At least in this version, they kind of fixed that. Anyway, bye.